Tipped in the air and knocked away. KU's got to win it. Vaugh, big time two-hand slam by Hunter Dickinson.
Kansas is the 2023 WNIT champions.
This is the Jayhawker Podcast, presented by the University of Kansas Health System.
And we're back. Another edition of the Jayhawker Podcast. I am Greg Gurley, along with Wayne Simien, the Jayhawker Podcast, brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System, Black & Veatch, and Xfinity. Wayne asked me to put my hood on, headphones on the outside, just to kind of, I don't really know why. What would you say? Hoodie mellow is what
hoodie mellow. It's like you're in a mood right now, man. It's like you're in a mood, like part hoodie mellow, part ObiWan Kenobi. I like it, and it just kind of, signifies a mindset and a disposition late in February that a basketball player's got to tap into when they're making this big push to March. It's not for play. It's not for fun. We're not here for giggles. Like, it's time to get into it. And that's kind of what the hoodie's personifying right now. And I appreciate it. I like it. Well played.
A lot of people compared me to Carmelo Anthony. So I appreciate that now the public knows that we have very similar games.
Okay. That's a stretch, but you're just going to ignore my ObiWan Kenobi reference, who you do have a white beard like ObiWan Kenobi. I am a Star Wars fan. You're probably not. You are technically like a Jedi master, and I'm your kind of up and coming Padawan. If you want to, extend that analogy out a little bit further.
Time for the public to hear Wayne Simien do Chewbacca. Go. It's amazing.
It's not even May 4th, and you will be hearing that on May 4th. Believe you me.
So good. You need to do that when you broadcast games, when we hit a big three or something.
Maybe I'll add it.
Armstrong, wow, you just do that.
Maybe I'll add it to Hunter Dickinson's hotkeys. Whenever he dunks it, I'm just going to give him the big, because believe you me, I feel he needs to dunk it a lot more. As skilled as he is and as effective he has been. And maybe I'll throw in the Chewbacca alert anytime the big fella throws down. Let's go, big fella. People want to hear Chewbacca more. Come on.
He had a dunk on Saturday. We'll go back a couple games later, but let's talk about most recent. Lost the game in Lubbock, had that Monday game, then not again until Saturday, both on the road. Didn't know what we were going to have from Kevin. Just didn't really know what we were going to get out of really KJ, DeJuan, and Hunter, who struggled mightily in Lubbock. And then that first half in Norman on Saturday didn't really answer a lot of questions. It almost made us question things more. With like 3 minutes to go, one of the more crucial 2 or 3 minute stretches all season happened at about the 3 minute mark of the first half in Norman, Oklahoma. We're down 11. Nothing's going well. We look like, we didn't have any rhythm. We didn't have any chemistry. And we kind of clamped down on defense and go on a 6-0 run to end the half. Get a couple stops, get a couple layups, go in the locker room down 5. Still pissed off that we're not shooting the ball well. We're feeling sorry for ourselves because it was yet another game on the road where the team we're playing shoots unbelievably well from a three-point line, and they're not typically a great three-point shooting team. We're like, when is this going to stop? Like West Virginia did it. Texas Tech did it. K-State did it. Everybody was well over their percentages, and we say it all the time, and our rivals don't like us hearing it, but we get everybody's best shot, and they get sick of that term. But I think you can agree, Wayne. Do we get everybody's best shot?
Yeah, of course we should. Been the top dog in the league for quite some time, and they can argue it, all they want, but it's interesting as you kind of survey different fan bases and home environments when we're not in town. And I watch the Big 12 even when KU's not playing. You can see holes and gaps and unfilled seats in stadiums. around the Big 12 throughout the league, even on a Saturday. We're not even talking midweek games, but when we pull up, it's packed. It's the best environment. Fans storm the court when they beat us regularly. And so to me, all those things are affirming to that reality of getting a team and a fan base's best shot. And I certainly don't think it's a stretch. And but it was nice to be able to get that road win against Oklahoma. I really think as I think about some of our road performances, the first 4 minutes coming out of halftime seemed to be extremely crucial for every single road game. Even when we were took on that 3-point barrage against Texas Tech, we only were down maybe 12 at halftime.
No, I think it was
maybe less.
I think it was less than 10.
Yeah. Maybe less than 10. So as good as they were shooting, we were still within striking distance. But we came out and had a very sluggish and slow first 4 minutes. I think we had 2 turnovers back to back. They scored right off those turnovers. Their fans were able to get right back into it, and then the door got slammed in our face. And I think that conversely to that, we were able to be more competitive coming out of halftime against Oklahoma. And eventually get back and steering the ship right. And, it's funny. I think we went on maybe a 4-minute stretch where we didn't score, which we've seen that pretty regularly throughout this season with this team. But that was a time where we hunkered down and we guarded and defended and rebounded well during that stretch also. And it kept us in the game, and we were able to stretch things out. And so I think that'll be something important as we're going forward during this last run and these 5 games leading up into the Big 12 tournament. Isn't just, how turned up we are, but man, how are we going to start that first 4 minutes of the second half? And I really do think it has a confidence factor both for us and for our opponent. All right, confidence factor in terms of, hey, are we going to be able to close out? Are we going to be able to fight back and to take the lead? And then also confidence factor for the opponent. And their fans, particularly when they're on the road. And hey, are we supposed to be in this game? Could we actually potentially win this game, or is the real Kansas going to show up?
Well, I talk about it all the time in the broadcast. Last 3 minutes of the first half and the initial 3 or 4 minutes of the second half. Those are huge. It's kind of like in football. The Chiefs love to defer so they can have the ball at the end of the half and then have it on back-to-back possessions. They try to score. It's kind of like a 2-for-1. They try to score at the end of the half, and it's easier said than done, but similar deal in basketball. And I thought the guy that really turned the tide for us was KJ. Only ended up with 9 points, but his energy, I think, got everybody going because it was a sluggish half. Everything was going against us. They're making shots. We look like we've never played together. They're honoring Billy Tubbs at halftime. It was sold out Lloyd Noble, which Lloyd Noble's an okay arena. It's not one of the better home environments on the road. You obviously played there, and it's okay. It's just kind of blah. But it was pretty juiced on Saturday. It was pretty good, and it brought back a lot of former players to honor Billy Tubbs 3 or 4 years after his passing. It was a cool deal. I watched it. They did a great job, and so we're like, all right. Somebody's got to bring it. And KJ was the guy, in my opinion. Was just defensively, he was active. We got a couple easy buckets off of steals. We got some transition buckets after misses. And then Kevin, who had a bad shooting day, a little rusty after taking 2 weeks off to repair that bone bruise, he made a huge shot in the corner. We went on a 6-0 run in like 25 seconds and just kind of broke Oklahoma's back, and we needed that win. I mean, it just the way things were going, I think our confidence level on the road, we had just laid an egg everywhere except Stillwater and Indiana. But in the league, it's only been Oklahoma State. And you look back at that Indiana win now, and it's not as impressive because they are on the struggle bus. You want to go get wins, and then once you beat them, you want to see teams have good seasons. I was actually rooting for Kentucky last night, because that, you want the teams that you beat to play well. That only helps all your rankings. And as we get closer to March, we always try to say we don't like to talk about polls and rankings in November and December. Well, now's a good time to talk about them. And getting a road win in Oklahoma helped tremendously.
You're not ready to hear the narrative about quad one wins and hear that phrase and term for the first 2 weeks of March.
What's the guy, Joey Brackett's, like every game you watch now,
quad one.
And you're like, it's February 20th, and they're already saying these are the first 4 out. Like, come on, dude, we got another month to go.
Yeah, the way too early polls that come out around that. But hey, it's exciting. It's one of the best sporting events in all of sports, so I get why people want to talk about it early. And that win that we had there against OU was important for a lot of reasons. But even think about what we know.
Play in the state of Oklahoma. Hopefully, the NCAA tournament's in Oklahoma. 4 of our wins this year are against Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, so we got a nice little track record there, and nice road wins there as well. But I'm not quite sure we're going to get that type of accommodation.
I'm what you might call very good at hide and seek. This one time, my parents had to round up the whole neighborhood to track me down. It was a mess. A lot of tears. Well, now that we got Xfinity, we have Wi-Fi all over the house, including all my favorite super secret hiding spots. So I can kill time in here by streaming my shows and...
Ha! Found you.
The heck? How?
You left Find My tablet on.
This generation, ruining the game with their performance enhancers.
Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi on the Xfinity 10G network for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through March 21st, new customers can get started with 200 megabit internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and get Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless plan, auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary. Xfinity 10G network brings improved speed, security, reliability, and latency. Xfinity 10 gigabit service tier subject to permitting and construction requirements.
So as we talk about Kevin McCullough, and he had the game in Manhattan. I think that's the last time we talked where we lost to K-State, and that's when he developed, just said, hey, I got to shut this down for a little bit on his bone bruise. And it was an interesting scenario last week after our loss in Lubbock that he didn't play. Like, we didn't play again till Saturday. It was Monday to Saturday. And my question was, does Kevin play against Oklahoma? We need him in a huge way to play, but we need him more in March. So does those 10 days help more than 4 days and then play at Oklahoma, then 6 days off before we play Texas? Obviously, he was good enough to go. We don't win at Oklahoma without Kevin, even with the poor shooting numbers. He just brings defensive presence, basketball IQ, the ability to get to the rim, which is limited a little bit now because of the injury. But, man, he was a warrior. He came out there and again, on a rough day, made that big three in the corner that really got us over the hump, got us that confidence, got us that momentum, and you win it going away.
Yeah, well, I love him out there. I think he needs to be out there, even though he didn't have quite maybe a big-time performance, though it was a good enough performance to help us win. And I do think that he helped us win that game. And I liked him in that game for this reason. Up until the Texas Tech loss, which I think was a lot of people are overreacting about that loss. Dude, historically, we have one of those, right? Here, this time of year, get hit in the mouth on the road. Lubbock's a tough place to play. It feels a little bit different because we're technically behind schedule when it comes to the conference race and the championship. And then you look at those losses like UCF, like K-State, like at West Virginia, and it magnifies those way bigger than what it is. But I like the 2 weeks off, rest him at Tech, play him at OU, and then now guess what? We enter into a bye week where there's pretty much almost another full week off until we get a chance to play Texas here this Saturday in Allen Fieldhouse, which is a home game, which, by the way, believe you me, someone that was hurt a lot during his career, the juice and the energy and the fanfare and sleeping in your own bed and getting treatment in your own facility helps immensely when you're working through the bumps and bruises late in the season. And so I'm expecting Kevin to work some of those cobwebs off that we saw in Oklahoma, to be feeling as good as he has this last month, and to come out and give us a good performance. And, another reason why you got to keep him on the court is, man, you got to stay sharp. It's the difficulty of the balancing act between being rested but being sharp. And the hard thing is that we rely so heavily on he and the starting five to be at their best. And we're going to need them even more as we're getting later into the season, that you got to make sure those guys stay sharp, that the continuity is there, that the timing is there. All of those things matter here as we draw late into the regular season.
And I'll say it, I know, because some of our coaches won't. The schedule screwed Kansas this year. It was one of those things where we had back-to-back weekends with a Saturday home game and a big Monday road game. You had K-State on that one Monday, then you come home, beat Baylor, and then 18 hours later, we're on a plane to Lubbock. And supposedly back in the day, the unwritten rule or the written rule was, if you were doing that Saturday, Monday, your game had to be earlier in the day on Saturday. But if you remember, that Baylor game was 5:00 in the afternoon. We get a win where we struggled down the stretch, but we beat the 13th ranked team. You go home, you have something to eat, you go to bed. The next day you're waking up, you have practice at 10 o'clock and you're on a plane. And it's kind of like the NBA, but in college, Kansas gets, what's the best? Well, I'll say screwed a little bit, because they want us on TV. ESPN set the times. And so they wanted game day in Lawrence, 5:00 game, then big Monday. And you mentioned it. We have one of those games every once in a while. And that was the perfect recipe for the opposite of success, because we were tired. We won the game against Baylor, but with not a great taste in our mouth at the end of it. Kevin wasn't playing, and perfect storm. Texas Tech played out of their minds. I mean, a guy went 12 for 12, and Grant McCaslin left his starters. They're up 20-something. The starters stayed in the game till the final minute. That guy was still the 12 for 12 guy. Williams was still shooting shots. So, but because of the unbalanced schedule, I don't want to sound like I'm bitching too much, but we don't get Texas Tech back. That was a road game without a return. That's unbalanced schedule. But the frustration.
Yeah, same thing with Iowa State, too. I think you can throw that in there. And obviously, as we're watching the top two teams ahead of us, we don't get that game returned back in the Fieldhouse, as they have the tiebreaker. And I don't even think there's a guarantee that we get them back in the Fieldhouse next year. I think that with the addition of so many teams, they're kind of trying to have to work out the scheduling matrix algorithm, or whatever we're going to call it, so to speak. But heavy is the head of the crown that wears it. So it's difficult, man. Like, I don't expect it to be any easier moving down the road, because guess what? They want us to play Houston twice. They're going to want us to play Arizona twice. They're going to want us to play Baylor. They're going to want the great regional matchup, and it's fine. I mean, those are games that I want to see. Those are the games that America wants to see. And
hey, guess what? The Chiefs will have the toughest schedule in the NFL next year, because they That's kind of how it works.
And one of the things that I appreciate about Coach Self, and he says this all the time, whether it's playing in the Big 12 or a non-con matchup against UConn or the likes of other Blue Bloods, you come to Kansas to play in these type of games, right? You come to Kansas to be in the toughest conference and to win the toughest conference in all of college basketball.
And they recruit to that. I guarantee you, when he talked to Hunter last year, he said, hey, we're going to be in the Maui Classic. We're going to play Kentucky and Chicago. We're going to have Missouri at home. We're going to play at Indiana. Like, you look at that non-conference schedule, and then you see that the Big 12 is the toughest conference in the country. Okay, you want the exposure? You want to get to the league? You're not going to get any more exposure. You're going to play against the best. You're going to be on Big Monday. You're going to be on College Game Day. You're going to be in Champions Classic, so on, so on, and so on. So, kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, where I complain about it.
I talked you into it. No. I talked you into feeling better about it. I'm going to go ahead and take credit. You started out with that topic being the glass half full guy, and then I talked you into feeling better about it. So just give me credit, man.
I'm going to give you a couple of one real feel-good story. It's one of our really, really good friends, Scott Pollard, teammate, brotherhood, teammate of mine, brother of yours. We all are. And he was going through a tough time, and he needed a new heart. And that ain't an easy thing to get when you're the size of Wayne Simien or Scott Pollard or even my size. So your pool of candidates is not very big. And he was on that list, and I had the good fortune of being able to, in my schedule, get down to Nashville. He was at Vanderbilt Hospital, got to spend some time with him. Amy and I went down there, and we were actually there when he was told that there was a heart that he could possibly get if things a lot of things have to happen. And they all did. And long story short, he got a new heart on Friday and a new lease on life. And we're all so happy for him and his family and his kids and anyone that had any interaction with Scott. It's an amazing medical procedure that these hospitals do, that just the amount of people, private plane, a helicopter, and all these things have to come together for it to work. And they did. And then the one thing we can't lose sight of is organ donation. And, when you go to get your driver's license, you go to whatever, check the box, because it saves so many lives. And if Kansas fan, Kentucky fan, whatever, it doesn't matter who it is. And it's a massive part of this. He's very fortunate, and we're so happy for him.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad that you shared that story, and hats off to you and Amy for making the effort to go out there and just to be with your friend and encourage him during that time in the hospital. Man, wow, how incredible was that to actually be there when he got the news? And
he's looking at his phone and the transplant coordinator, and you just see his eyes go like this, and he goes, they think they got one. And, he said, don't get too excited, because this happened 4 days ago and it didn't happen. So, but, you're sitting in a hospital. He was in the ICU at Vanderbilt, and he's like, this is going to save my life. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it was great. And Fran Fraschilla gave him a big shout out on the call that afternoon. And then it was interesting. Word got out, and it spread pretty fast all the way to the Kansas City area, because I was coaching one of my son's basketball teams, and there was more of a buzz about Scott getting a heart and the surgery being successful as there was about us winning a road game, which I thought was really, really awesome, because it puts things into real perspective. But it's also really cool to see people within the Jayhawk Nation, to see their care, to see their concern, and then to see them celebrate something that magnitude. And I love what you said absolutely about giving some real consideration to being a donor. I know I've got that check mark on my driver's license, and hopefully a lot of other people would consider that as well, in light of this awesome narrative around Scott Pollard.
His college roommate, another of our brothers, Jock Vaugh, didn't have as good a news this week, as he was let go by the Brooklyn Nets. I texted with Jock right after it, and I'm like, what do they want out of you? They give you the job, they trade Kevin Durant and James Harden, and then they fire you for not winning. I mean, it's a joke. I am not now a Brooklyn Nets fan, but I tell you what, good for Jock that he got an extension last year. He's got 4 years of NBA head coach's money coming his way. I told him that me or Wayne Simien will be calling him to give some of that money to Kansas Athletics. But Jock is such a highly respected coach in the league. At one point was the highest paid assistant coach. And then this is his second NBA job. And he's been, I guess the word is unlucky. He gets the Orlando Magic job like the week after they traded away Dwight Howard, and they sucked for 2 years. And then he gets the Brooklyn Nets job, and they trade away everyone. And then it's frustrating. That's why you have contracts. He'll get to enjoy his family. Hope maybe get back for a game or two, but one of the all-time Jayhawk greats that I guess having a rough week.
Yeah, no, and it's just one of those things that helps people to understand and realize, the difficulty in the harsh reality that exists in the NBA for players, coaches, general managers, all involved. Winning is hard and difficult, and I know you and I have talked about it at length as it pertains to KU players playing in the NBA. That timing and fit is of the utmost importance, and that's what can get you in the league. That's what can keep you in the league, or if it goes awry, that's what keeps you out of the league or gets you kicked out of the league. And so it's no different for coaches, but believe you me, you and I know Jock. We know how well respected he is across all basketball circles, a consummate professional in every sense of the word and every stretch of the imagination, and he will certainly have some incredible opportunities ahead of him if he chooses to stay in any category of basketball, and has been someone who's gone on to not only have a fantastic career here and be an all-time favorite of mine growing up, but also to be able to continue to represent Kansas and Kansas basketball at the highest level.
Well, and maybe number one, he's got a great beard. The beard is amazing. But number two, maybe he tries front office stuff and then he could do the firing. He's probably like, I'm gonna go to the other side, and I'm gonna
go talk to Bill Newton, talk to Kevin Pritchard, R.C. Buford, all those guys. We got some great guys on the front office side as well.
And Jock's such a student of the game. That's why he's such a great coach. No doubt he's a great talent evaluator and would be good at that. And who knows, maybe he tries college. There hasn't been. That's an interesting topic. I think you and I were talking about it recently. Name me a really good college basketball player, like a superstar, that became a good college coach. Now, it happens in the NBA a lot with NBA head coaches, but name me a college player, whether it's National Player of the Year or an All-American, that became a really good coach at a high level.
I'd put Steve Alford in that category. He was a part of some really, really good Indiana teams. I think he was All-American, at the very least Big Ten.
Oh, 100% great player. 100% great player, but has he done it at an elite level, coaching at an elite program, or because he's at Nevada now and they're having a good year, but he's been at Iowa but that's not bad.
It's solid.
You look at Chris Mullen, Patrick Ewing, all these guys that Juwan Howard right now is on the struggle bus. Penny Hardaway looked like he was going to be the guy, and they've been struggling a lot, and they've never really gotten over that. No, so I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I maybe should have prepared you for this, but the Alford was a good call.
No, it is. I like it. I like it off the cuffs.
Billy Donovan was a really good college player, but I wouldn't call him a superstar.
Yeah,
Bill Self for sure wasn't a very good college player, but he's the best in the business right now.
Yeah, but it is, a couple of those guys that you mentioned did have a good kind of 2-3 year stint where there was, some buzz and some optimism, about them. I think Juwan Howard and Penny early, they were able to have a little bit of success, and people think that, okay, maybe, things could really take off here. And so that might be worth considering for them.
No, you're like I always say, you're not wrong, but you're not 100% right.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that'll.
Before we get back to basketball, we always give a football update. Driving by David Booth Memorial Stadium, it's if you're in Lawrence, drive over there. Drive over off on Mississippi or Alabama and take a look. I mean, we talk about how messy it gets to make progress. It's messy over there. I mean, it's all gone, and there's about a 150-foot crane there and a bunch of other drilling concrete piers in there. I mean, it is a lot going on. The Anderson family complex is gutted. You can see, just framing of what they're going to do. That's going to completely transform into a much more conducive environment, more modern, big auditorium overlooking the field. But progress is cool. And
yeah, great opportunity. Hey, with the early afternoon tip on Saturday, man, I'd encourage folks to maybe come over 30 minutes early and just drive by the stadium and see all that. It's a spectacle with all the trucks and heavy construction and cranes and all that stuff moving, and it's moving along pretty fast. And so that was that I enjoyed
It has
earlier.
to move over pretty fast. I mean, they're going 7 days a week because essentially 20 months from when it started to August of 2025, that's got to be up. And there's no other option. It's like it's got to be up. And so Turner Construction and HNTB are doing a hell of a job, and they are working not 24/7, but pretty close. So
we're stealing days in February. This nice little warm weather, man. We're stealing days, and so hopefully it
70 degrees outside. Are you going to go play golf tomorrow?
No. I'll be in here working. So that'd be great to get out. I'm usually not in mode that mode quite yet.
Do you think our bosses are watching this podcast? Wayne just said he's going to be working and Gurley's going to be playing golf. Is that why you
didn't say you were going to be playing golf? You asked me if I was going to be playing. But hey, speaking of golf though, man, how about our men's golf team? How about Cecil Blyle racking up his second tournament win of the season with plenty more spring golf left, going 6 under, 5 under, 6 under in a tough competitive field in California.
That was a tough field. Stanford has always been. We beat K-State. There was that was a tough field, and we ended up shooting, I think, 21 under as a team. So shout out to Jamie Bermel and the guys, and I mean, winning a golf tournament. You know, you and I have had guys on before that have won. I don't think people realize how difficult that is. He's now won 2 in a year, and that's hard to do.
And not only that, but you couldn't want it to happen to a better kid.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was like such a breath of fresh air to see a kid who's the hardest worker, the most humble, the most bought in, the best team-oriented player, great student. I mean, you know, came up the hard route from Minnesota, went to junior college, fought his way back up to a D1. I mean, like, he checks all the boxes that actually kind of reinvigorates you about college athletics, because, you know, much of the narratives and the storylines, you know, around the last, 6 to 12 months, has been, fairly concerning, and even maybe a little fear driven when it comes to college athletics. But when I saw the news, and I was tracking it the last 3 days, when I saw the news yesterday that he finished it out, it was such a breath of fresh air, because when he wins, college athletics wins when you hear a story like that.
100%. So great job, Rock Chalk. Another individual champ. Football's rolling. You know, we've talked about how important it was to retain all of our coaches last year. Well, that hadn't been the case this year. With our success comes people calling, and a few of our assistants have left for different jobs. And so
better. Not lateral moves, but, elevated, and so you got to celebrate that as well.
It's frustrating because we know how good we had it. Now we got to get new guys plugged in there, and Lance and his staff are doing that, and they're having to do it somewhat remotely out of their comfort zone from the Anderson complex. But I'm so excited. And I think since the last time we did a live podcast, we announced that 2 of our games are going to be at Sporting Park, and the other 4 home games will be at Arrowhead.
AKA Dynastyville, because the last time we had talked, Chiefs hadn't won a Super Bowl yet, and we are in. Are you kidding me? A dynasty? We are in a dynasty era right now. It's 2 Kansas City guys. That's it. Come on, man. We're living it up right now.
I almost I didn't get mad at my daughters, but I was like, you guys have had it so good, and I'm glad. I'm not like mad at them, but. National championship in 2008, Royals in 14 and 15. You win the World Series in 15. Chiefs, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. Jayhawks, 2022 national championship. Those are their teams, my teams, your teams. And like when I was growing up, it was the Royals in 85 and the Ducks in 88, and then nothing. I don't know, another 20 years. We lost Wayne. I don't think he liked that last comment, but we'll see if we can get Big Dub back on the Jayhawker Podcast, brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System, Xfinity, and Black & Veatch, great sponsors of this program. We're getting into the meat of the season when you really talk about finishing out strong, the Big 12, getting to the Big 12 tournament at the T-Mobile Center, which we talk all the time about how tough this conference is. Can you imagine how difficult, like whoever wins the Big 12 tournament this year is going to earn it. I mean, that thing starts on Tuesday now. Granted, we won't be there on Tuesday, and hopefully we are finish at a point where we're playing on Thursday. It'll be our first game. But Kansas City is going to be tough sledding because everyone's going to want a piece of everyone else. Who knows? You can't predict, but always love my time down in the Power and Light, T-Mobile, President Hotel, all that stuff. So looking forward to that. And then we get into the more important tournament, which will be the NCAA tournament. And, the first college basketball rankings came out. NCAA started doing that a few years ago, like the college football playoff did it. And last week they had us as the 8th seed. So the last number 2 seed, if the tournament were to start today, I'm not 100% sure why they do that so early, because it doesn't really, I don't know if it really matters now, but it does in 3 weeks. So we're the last number 2 seed, which would probably mean we'd be matched up with UConn, even though in the last week, Purdue and UConn have lost. So a lot to be excited about. Saturday, Texas and Allen Fieldhouse. Sunday, Kansas women take on Kansas State in the Dillon Sunflower Showdown, 1:00 in Allen Fieldhouse. Then back at it for the men, back-to-back home games. Tuesday against BYU. Then we head to Baylor senior night, K-State the following Tuesday, and then finish it up in Houston. We still have a chance to win the league. A lot has to happen, and we've got to, do something we haven't been able to do consistently, and that's win on the road. But first things first, got to defend our home court, get into March, get into the Big 12 tournament, and then go to the almighty NCAA field of 68. So we lost Wayne, but Greg Gurley, Wayne Simien, Jayhawker Podcast, brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System, Black & Veatch, and Xfinity. We'll be with you next week to recap the Texas Longhorns game and BYU's first visit to Allen Fieldhouse. Rock Chalk.